There's a kind of fear that doesn't warn you before it arrives. One minute you're living your normal life, laughing, planning dinner, figuring out schedules, and the next, the world you built with the person you love most feels like it's collapsing beneath you. That's exactly what happened to Kelly Ripa. For years, millions have watched Kelly bring warmth, humor, charm, and effortless energy to our screens. But none of that mattered the day her husband, Mark Consuelos, was rushed into the critical care unit. There were no cameras, no scripts, no retakes, just raw fear and a woman standing in a moment she never imagined she'd face. Kelly later admitted she felt completely helpless as she followed the stretcher down the stark hospital hallways. The buzzing alarms, the white walls, the hurried voices, it all blurred together. "We went from talking about where to get dinner to facing my worst fear," she recalled. And in those seconds, her world simply stopped. A father's plea that broke her heart. But what happened next was something Kelly couldn't have prepared for. Even though communication between them had been strained before this emergency, Mark insisted on seeing their children. It wasn't a casual request, it was a plea from a father who suddenly felt time slipping away. He didn't want to talk about his condition, he didn't ask about medication or procedures. All he wanted was one more chance to speak to his kids from his heart. Hearing this shattered Kelly. She knew she had to choose: shield the kids from the harsh reality of the critical care unit, or honor the call of a father who thought he might be running out of time. In the end, she chose love. She chose connection. She chose to let her children be present in the moment that mattered. When the kids arrived, the room filled with an emotion that was almost too heavy to carry. Mark spoke to each child individually. To the oldest, he talked about courage. To the middle child, he emphasized kindness and determination. And to the youngest, he whispered about joy, how laughter heals even the deepest pain. That was when Kelly realized he wasn't just talking, he was preparing them, preparing her, preparing himself. She saw the look in his eyes, a quiet surrender mixed with a fierce love, and it nearly destroyed her. The words that changed Kelly forever. As the kids walked away, Mark murmured something that Kelly will never forget. "If I can't talk to them tomorrow, promise you'll keep reminding them how much I love them." Those words broke her open. They ignited something deep inside her, a refusal to give up, even when everything looked hopeless. She leaned on her faith, her memories, and the future she still believed they could have. She held on through nights that felt like years, sitting in waiting rooms, too quiet, too cold, too full of fear. Then, slowly the story began to shift. Mark's unshakable spirit, the stubbornness Kelly always joked about, finally showed up when it mattered most. His breathing steadied. His color returned. He started responding again. The first time he breathed without assistance, Kelly cried. She said the sound of his natural breath was the most beautiful thing she had ever heard. Then came the whispers, the small smiles, the tiny jokes that told her he was still in there. Healing wasn't easy. Mark, once proud and strong, struggled with the vulnerability recovery demanded. Standing felt like climbing a mountain. Walking required a hallway full of cheering family members. But he pushed through it, step by shaky step, reminding Kelly of the man she had built her life with. Life after the hospital, a new kind of battle. Leaving the critical care unit felt like escaping a shadow that had swallowed their world, but going home introduced a different kind of challenge. The house felt too quiet. No machines, no beeping monitors, just the hum of the refrigerator and sounds that suddenly felt foreign. This new normal wasn't easy. Recovery was messy. Progress, setbacks, more progress. Kelly transformed from terrified wife to full-time caregiver, a role that required endless patience and strength. Their children changed too. Seeing their father fragile aged them overnight. They learned that real courage isn't about being fearless. It's about fighting for another tomorrow, even when you're scared. The public world didn't stop, but Kelly did. Returning to television wasn't simple. Her job was to bring joy to millions of viewers, but after everything they had lived through, something inside her had shifted. The jokes, the cooking segments, the celebrity chats, all of it felt different. And then came the announcement that Mark would join her as her permanent co-host. The stage that once belonged to Kelly alone now carried the weight of their shared survival. Their easy banter, their inside jokes, they weren't just cute anymore. They were proof. Proof of a second chance. Proof of resilience. Proof that love had carried them through the darkest season of their lives. When they finally opened up about their journey, it wasn't for the spotlight. It was for the people watching who were going through the same thing in silence. Kelly wanted them to know they weren't alone. Behind the glamour, behind the fame, they were simply two people who almost lost everything, but held on. A new life rewritten by love. Since that moment, everything changed. Long-term plans didn't matter the way they once did. Work wasn't the priority it used to be. Family dinners became sacred. Every "I love you" became intentional. Every phone call mattered. They learned to protect their peace, their time, their second chance. The world saw a public couple navigating a crisis, but what they lived was something universal: the gut-wrenching fear of losing someone you love, and the overwhelming gratitude when you get another day with them. Kelly and Mark survived their nightmare, and in doing so, they reminded all of us what truly matters: love, time, family. The moments we think are small, but mean everything.